All right, and we are live post-fight. Daniel Jacobs-Gennady Golovkin, and again, what can you say? Great fight. Pick Daniel Jacobs, but sometimes decision doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. I actually had Daniel Jacobs win this fight 114, 113, but again, close enough fight where you really can't cry robbery here. This fight could have went either way. I'm sure there was some swing rounds in there in a lot of people's opinions. And if we look at the judges' scorecards, I suspect they may be all over the place here. 115, 112, a little bit wide for Golovkin, but the 114, 113 I can understand. Jacobs, they questioned his chin, got knocked down. I thought he squared up a little bit, got caught in transition from going into orthodox to southpaw, got caught off a little balance there, and Gennady Golovkin took advantage of that. I don't think that Daniel Jacobs was totally hurt in that instance, but I just think it was a balanced shot. And I think it was kind of a head scratcher, why he would, try to do that in this fight, go southpaw as often as he did. But I was kind of thinking to myself, and I think Gennady Golovkin, as big of a power puncher as he is, if you're going to gamble on him, I said you'd want to gamble on him from the outside, so he's still dangerous in anywhere, outside, mid-range, up close. But if you're going to gamble on him, you're going to keep on the outside. But not only that, if you're going to gamble on a specific punch that you're going to as wary of as another, and that would be the left hook that you really have to focus on. So I think he got in that southpaw stance to kind of take that left hook away from Gennady Golovkin, because that's the punch that can really ice guys. I mean, he can hurt you with either hand, but that left hook is more or less the finisher for Gennady Golovkin. And he really didn't land a ton of left hooks in this fight. He was really successful with the right hand. As the fight wore on, I thought he was tagging Danny with the right hand when Danny was fighting in the southpaw stance. But Danny was adapting to it a little bit, gauging the range a little bit better. And even though he was still being hit with it, he was getting hit with it at the end of it, where a lot of the steam was being taken off it. He wasn't getting hit flush. It was more or less hitting him, but not hitting him as bluntly. It wasn't really a power right hand. It was just more of a scoring shot as the fight wore on. So I thought Danny did do some good things in this fight. I think he attacked away from Golovkin. As I said, I thought that he would control the range pretty well, which he did. But Gennady did some good things too. I mean, as I said, the right hand was the big weapon there for Gennady Golovkin. And Daniel Jacobs definitely stood up to the right hand, but it was still landed. But the uppercut was the punch that seemed to hurt Daniel Jacobs, made his legs wobble a little bit, do that little chicken dance. It was the right uppercut that got through a few times, and definitely was a very effective punch for Gennady Golovkin. So does this tarnish Gennady Golovkin in any way? Because most people I talked to, they were picking him to win inside of 4 to 6 rounds. And obviously that was not the case here. So what is the impression of Gennady Golovkin now? I still think that he's a great fighter. I still think that, you could consider him the best middleweight in the world. And Daniel Jacobs is now the second best middleweight in the world. I thought Daniel Jacobs won the fight, but he didn't get the decision. I thought the fight, could have went either way. So if we start to kind of pile on Gennady Golovkin and we start to say, oh, he wasn't as good as we thought he was, then we're really taking away from Daniel Jacobs' great performance. Because going into this fight, I picked Daniel Jacobs to win. And that was no knock on Gennady Golovkin. I just thought that Daniel Jacobs' style, his size and his strength and his speed and his athleticism would really be a handful for Gennady Golovkin. And as evidenced tonight, it definitely was a handful. So Daniel Jacobs can stay at this 160-pound weight class too much longer. He looked huge in the ring tonight, and that definitely played a factor in him being able to take the shots, him being able to hold on to Gennady inside in the clinches. Gennady Golovkin tried to break free, tried to tuck his head up underneath, but basically just shifted his head off to the side, so Gennady Golovkin couldn't his head up underneath Daniel Jacobs' chin, which he likes to do to a lot of fighters. So I think tactically, the game plan was really sound by the Jacobs camp. But you know what? Gennady Golovkin, I think, he could have gambled a little bit more. Going to say that he should have fought the same exact fight that he fought against Kell Brook, where he appeared reckless in certain spots. But in order to get inside, I just think that he should have really stepped to Daniel Jacobs. And I'm sure the jab kind of prevented him from doing that, because Daniel Jacobs really had a pesky jab, and he did take Andre Roger's advice very well. He was varying up the jab. He was touching him on the shoulders, chest, moving it up to the chin, touching him on the forehead. And, you could see that Gennady Golovkin's face was kind of marked up a little bit to do with Daniel Jacobs' jab. And even out of the southpaw stance, he was able to line him up with the straight left, and he was also looping the left hand too. So Daniel Jacobs' punch variation tonight was really, really good. And it wasn't like he was just throwing get off me punches. He was sitting down on some of these shots. You could see him cranking up that left hook, and you could see him throwing that looping when he got close enough where he had to fight Gennady Golovkin off him. So all in all, I think this was a great night of boxing. Roman Gonzalez got upset by that hard punching Thailand guy. I could barely pronounce his name. I don't want to butcher it. That was a fight that was really, really close. I kind of thought, I didn't score it as I was watching it. I kind of got the sense that it was close, but I thought Gonzalez edged it out. But again, he's getting up in age, just like Gennady Golovkin is. He's in his mid-30s. Gennady Golovkin is in his mid-30s. So after a while, when you fight a real rugged style, when you fight a type of style where you're a kind of a grinder, you go inside in the trenches, and you just basically put yourself in harm's way so many times, where if you're fighting inside, you can get head-butted. Obviously, you're more in danger of getting hit as well. Even if you're not getting hit flush, you're still getting smacked around at the top of the head, around the ears or what have you, back of the neck, whatever. So the type of style that Roman Gonzalez, Chocolatito, has it's a very taxing style on his body. So I don't see him really getting better at this point. And, even in his last fight against Cuadras and in this fight, these were two tough fights that basically took years off of, the career of him, I think. And I think moving forward, he's still going to be a very dangerous fighter, a very skilled fighter for any opponent. But again, he may have hit the wall here. And maybe he's just not big enough for this 115-pound class. There's no way I think he moves up to 118. But he's probably not the pound-for-pound best anymore. I think he's going to get knocked off that perch come Monday when they do the ratings, which isn't really important to me anyways, pound for pound. But he definitely showed skill. I thought this was an awesome performance from both fighters in that title fight, that 115-pound title fight. I thought that was a great performance. I thought that was definitely a candidate for Fight of the Year. And Daniel Jacobs, win, lose, or draw, he definitely fought a great fight. Gennady Golovkin, he did some good things in the fight as well. So, this was just a great night of boxing, man. And Eric is in New York right now. He covered the fight live, so we won't be doing a show tomorrow, but we'll be doing a show Monday with Eric, myself, and Robbie. So Monday night we'll be doing a show with the full Ringside Reporter cast. So I just, all in all, this was a great night of boxing. I know people are going to have their opinions on this fight. They may say that it was too tactical. They may say that, Gennady Golovkin fought the wrong fight. They may say that, Daniel Jacobs may not have really thrown enough power shots and he just landed jabs. But I just think that this was a tactical chess match as I expected. A lot of people were saying this was going to be Hagler-Hearns. I didn't think this was going to be Hagler-Hearns because both guys had a lot of respect for each other. Both guys knew that they could be hurt by either guy. by each other, by either guy. They know they could hurt each other. So obviously, I think they were wary of that. And Triple G seemed to be a little bit more wary than I anticipated. I thought that he would take a little bit more chances, and I thought he would kind of run into Daniel Jacobs' jab a little bit more. I thought Daniel Jacobs would be able to counter him a little bit with the right hand. But again, that southpaw stance, that strategy. At first, I was saying, why is he doing it? But then I kind of thought to myself, and yeah, he basically took that left hook away from Triple G. And if you notice, that left hook was the main weapon against David Lemieux, Gabriel Rosado, and Curtis Stevens. That was the money punch in all of those fights. And you saw that monster left hook land against Curtis Stevens, and he had that "what the hell just hit me" look after he got knocked down and was on the canvas. So I think Daniel Jacobs said to himself, you know what, if he's going to beat me, he's going to have to beat me with the right hand. And I think he was ready for the right hand. And outside of that balance shot, I think he took all of the right hands very, very well. And I thought that he started to kind of see them coming, and he was bracing himself for those right hands. And I think this was a great, great fight that deserves a rematch. I would love to see a rematch. I would love to see if Gennady Golovkin makes any adjustments, if he takes more risks in a rematch. I would just love to see that. And again, I'm curious to see if Daniel Jacobs stays at 160 or if he ends up going up to 168, because again, didn't want to step on that scale for the IBF title. And I'm not going to say that I knew 100% he was going to do that, but I had my suspicions that he might do that, because again, size was a big factor in this fight. Being able to be a big man in there so you could lean on Gennady Golovkin and contain him on the inside. Size was a big component to that, and that was something that he needed to have in this fight. He needed to be the bigger man, because if he wasn't the bigger man, he would definitely not be able to contain Triple G on the inside, and he definitely would not be able to stand up to those power shots. So virtually you had maybe a super middleweight in there, give or take 2 pounds, versus possibly a cruiserweight. That's what you basically had in there tonight. And, by him not staying within that 10-pound weight difference and giving up that shot to fight for the IBF title, I think it made the fight more competitive. And I think that if possibly, he did not rehydrate up as big as he did on the night of the fight, that it would have hurt him. So I think the weight gain helped Daniel Jacobs. Sometimes it hurts a fighter, sometimes it can help a fighter. In this instance, I think he had the Canelo effect in this fight. And obviously he was buzzed a few times, but he was never out of it. He always had his wits about him in this fight, and that's why he was able to punch back, and that's why he was able to, on numerous occasions, push Triple G back as well. So you saw Triple G actually back up a little bit in this fight, and you saw him be hesitant to come forward, and you have to give Daniel Jacobs credit for that. I mean, he had to have been hit with something, Gennady Golovkin, that made him think twice of just coming in, with reckless abandon like he did against Kell Brook. And we all thought that was going to be the case. We all thought that was going to be the case, that he was not going to just try to walk Daniel Jacobs down. But some of you guys thought that he was just going to hit Daniel Jacobs with one shot, and Daniel Jacobs was just going to crumble and fall apart, and that was going to be it. And, I'm not here to say I told you so, but I just thought that Daniel Jacobs, he's 30 years old, and he's a man now. He's fully developed, more experience, and even in that P-Rock fight, had a lot going on, and he was actually trying to get up, and the referee put his hand on his chest and, said, "Hey, stay down," because he thought it just wasn't with it at that particular time. Maybe he saw something in Daniel Jacobs' eyes. He didn't want him to get up. But whatever the case may be, I think Daniel Jacobs answered a lot of questions tonight. And, the thing about Gennady Golovkin is you can hit him. And you can hit him particularly with a jab, because as Paulie Malignaggi said, he doesn't move his head a lot, and even he himself, Gennady Golovkin, squares up a lot. But the thing that helps Gennady Golovkin so much is he does have excellent footwork. He does have excellent balance. He does know how to cut off the ring beautifully. He is a precision, precise type puncher. You give him that inch, or you make that one little mistake, and he can capitalize on that. And, Daniel Jacobs made that one mistake, maybe 2 or 3 mistakes. I don't think he made a ton of mistakes tonight. I thought, all in all, he fought a really defensively responsible fight tonight. I thought he was really on his A game defensively, and I thought he started, really settling into the fight as the rounds wore on. I thought a lot of that nervousness, or maybe that apprehension, that feeling out type process. I thought as the fight wore on, I thought after the 4th round, I thought that Daniel Jacobs really started to get comfortable once he realized that, this guy, yeah, he's a big puncher, but you know what? I can deal with this power. I can stand up to these shots. And I'm not going to go anywhere. Get out of there. And, that wasn't the case, man. So all in all, I just think this was a great night of boxing. I think this was a great fight. I owe Georgie Porgy a pie in the face, so I'm going to be making that video tomorrow. I bet Georgie Porgy a pie in the face that Daniel Jacobs would win. Obviously, he lost, so I'm a man of my word. I'm going to make a video tomorrow, and I'm going to take that pie in the face. I'm going to be a man and take that pie in the face. And, yeah, it is what it is, man. So this just opens up the middleweight division wide open. This just puts this just blows the middleweight division up, what we saw tonight. Because now a lot of guys are going to look at Triple G and say, you know what? This guy is human. He's not a machine. He's a man. So maybe Billy Joe Saunders will to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to fight this guy now. Maybe some of these other middleweight champions will say, you know what? I'm going to fight this guy now. Maybe we will see this Canelo Alvarez fight now, because Daniel Jacobs did make Gennady Golovkin look human tonight. Like I said, it opens up a lot of doors. It changes the landscape of the division. Daniel Jacobs is definitely a player. If he could stay at this 160-pound weight class, which is definitely questionable, but if he could stay at this 160-pound weight class, maybe for 2 or 3 more fights, maybe he can get that rematch versus Triple G, and maybe be able to get the victory next time out if they fight. So all in all, like I said, this was a great night of boxing, man. I'm really happy with the way this fight went. And again, I picked Daniel Jacobs. That didn't go my way, but you know what? It was close, man. It was close. Again, I was a little surprised at the 115, 112 scorecard, but you know what? Man, some of these rounds, it all depends on what you like, man. The scoring is so subjective. And, I'm just curious to see what you guys scored this fight, or how you guys scored this fight. Who do you guys think won this fight? Do you think there should be a rematch? Or do you think Triple G is overrated now? Do you think we should start giving Daniel Jacobs that respect? Again, with the chin argument, does that go out the window now? Does Daniel Jacobs basically put the kibosh on that whole classification of him being a weak chin fighter? Is that out the window now? Does Daniel Jacobs prove now that he's legitimate? Now he had the Quillen one-punch knockout fight. Now he had this fight where he was a point away of victory, and on a lot of people's scorecards, he did get the victory. So is Daniel Jacobs now legitimate? Is he a legitimate fighter? Can we now say that this man is a legitimate fighter? I think we can. I think we can. I think Daniel Jacobs deserves his respect, and I think we should still continue to respect Gennady Golovkin. I just think he ran into a real tough opponent tonight, and I thought this was going to be a tough night for Gennady Golovkin. I thought he would lose. He pulled it out by the narrowest of margins. So all in all, what more can I say, man? Habeeb is out. Till next time, talk to you guys all soon. And yeah, this was a great fight, man. And this fight just basically says that, when you put 2 quality fighters in there, when the best fight the best, you get a good fight like this. So hopefully more fighters in other weight classes will take a look at this, see what Daniel Jacobs did. He already had the regular WBA title. He didn't have to fight Gennady Golovkin. He probably could have had a couple more fights before the WBA forced him to fight Gennady Golovkin. But you know what? He took the challenge. He stepped up. So hopefully some of these welterweights will fight each other now. Hopefully we can get some quality fights down there. Keith Thurman fighting Errol Spence. Sean Porter maybe stepping up to fight Errol Spence. Sean Porter, Keith Thurman rematch. Daniel Garcia is still in the mix. Maybe some of these guys can fight Manny Pacquiao. So this just, shows that, it's okay to take a risk, man. Daniel Jacobs took a huge risk tonight, and actually, even in losing, I think this risk paid off for him. So till next time, guys, make sure you tune in Monday night, 7 p.m. for the Ringside Reporter podcast. We'll talk more about this fight. Till next time, Habeeb is out. Peace. Talk to y'all soon.